cross-pollinating both, because you'll get, the ETH maxis learning about the Bitcoin maxis. And then and to my next question, because I tweeted this last week, and it is a legitimate question, I think. So here it goes. Will this eventually be, Heather, you let me know, will Bitcoin NFTs be like Apple and ETH NFTs be like Samsung?
No.
Because, right?
Dirty. That's
it's kind of like... Welcome back to another episode of Girl in the Verse, the video podcast. Don't forget, for those listening, this episode is also available on video. And as always, if you can please like, share, comment, subscribe, do it all. This helps us continue doing what we love. Now, today I am joined with Heather from CoinQueens. She is creating the first all-women ordinal project representing 13 Ethereum NFT projects. I cannot wait to dive right in. Heather, thank you so much for being here. Happy International Women's Month. I'm calling it Women's Month.
I love it. No, let's go. I think that's great. The longer, the better.
Yes. So tell me, just to start off here, what is it like? And honestly, as I'm thinking about this question, my little hairs here are going up. What's it like being a woman in Web3?
Up until recently, I would say I never really thought much about being a woman in Web3, just like because leading up, I was crypto first. So NFTs, yes. It's only been about a year, so not even quite. Has it been a year? Yeah, I guess a year. So I being in crypto first, I had the support of my husband, my peers who have founded our fund. And so I never really felt like it was hard to do what I needed to do. My investment, thesis and look forward was shared by all. And so we kind of were all on the same page and it felt easy. And then I would say the NFT is much more emotional, right? It's all this community-based things, much more feeling, emotional, not as right-brained. And so I would say it's been a bit of a struggle and sometimes a little bit of an affront, like how the male-based projects are so like, and then anytime a woman creates something, it's like, ew, it's so weird.
Well, I feel like we get that in all aspects. And myself, why I'm saying, oh my God, I'm feeling eerie asking you this question is because I also didn't think about it at the beginning, right? When I entered this space, the only thing I did know was that we weren't a lot of us.
Sure.
Which is how I came up with girl in the verse. I was like, oh, I'm going to make it obvious that I'm a girl.
Yeah.
Right? But how is it going? How are you seeing it? So you said you started your journey in crypto. Talk to us a little about that. How did you start into crypto? What's your background like? Just so people know where you're coming from.
Sure. So I had several years ago, a couple moved into our neighborhood where we live here in Florida. And I got to know the wife really well. We became friends. They invited us over to their home, went through their garage to get inside the house. And inside of their garage were carts, servers, fans, like the whole thing. And I was like, what in the world is this? And my friend was like, oh, my husband, he mines Bitcoin. And I was like, what? I had no idea at that point. Literally no idea. I definitely heard of crypto, but never had given it a second thought. And that's how my journey started, is learning through him. And then my husband and I just kind of recreationally invested just to try and pay attention to it, just to say, is this worth, checking out or getting into? So as we were having some success, then our friend group was like, hey, we want to play. So then that grew a little bit. And then eventually the reach or the network of people that wanted to participate grew. And so that is when we were like, well, we have friends and family who want to participate in crypto. We're excited about that, but they wanted to invest in such a meaningful level that the idea of self-custody made us very nervous, right? Like it was, oh, I don't want you to be either leaving that in a hot wallet on an exchange, or maybe if by any chance we can get you to get a ledger, if something happens to you or your wife is going to never know what to do with that. Or do you know what I mean? It just felt like not the most responsible thing to do. So we thought about, how do we solve this problem we decided to create a fund. So that was called CoinQueens. And that kicked off officially in February of last year. It probably took almost like 9 months leading up to it to create it and get it going and off the ground. And we have about 6 million assets under management now. It's a very conservative fund, mainly blue chip NFTs, but we definitely invest in other things. And it's been a huge success. And so when the fund kicked off, the minimum was large, and it was a 3-year lock-in period. So I was, as being the only female participating, a part of it, I was fielding a lot of the questions from the spouses, being like, hey, I was going to remodel my kitchen, and now my husband's taking his bonus and putting in your fund. What is crypto? And this isn't cool, And so I was trying to have these conversations, but it didn't make sense. So I literally created CoinQueens just to incur expenses and to start educating these women. So what I did is I hosted events at our country club called Wine, Women, and Wallets. I was like, listen, just come. I will give you the lowdown on what blockchain crypto is, NFT is, we'll cover it all. You can open a wallet, put $50 in just to feel like you are a part of it also. And just to, so that then you think about it, right? Then you pay attention to it and you can draw your own conclusions and maybe want to do your own investing. And so that kind of grew from there. Some women were super into it, wanted to keep investing. A lot of women love NFTs. It just makes sense. The art piece, the beauty of it, the community of it. It does speak more generally, I think, easier to women than just strictly finance and crypto. So that's how CoinQueens kicked off, just hosting in real life events here. And then as I entered NFTs, just trying to learn more about use cases for blockchain, how the professional women in my community could actually incorporate it into their jobs or into their business ideas that they wanted to start. Then I started, figuring out Ethereum, smart contracts, blockchains, their different, pros and cons, and how we can all make it better and use it.
This is so interesting to me, and you said it before, right? My husband was into it. The partner, right? The neighbor, the man was, into Bitcoin. Women were not really understanding, but sort of wanted to be a part of it. I say that all the time. I say, I really got into the space because of the men that introduced me to it, right? But I also, and my God, I scooped your Twitter. I went sniffing. I went checking, right? And I love this tweet. You said, nothing bad will happen by widening your circle and promoting other women's success. Nothing. And I feel like that is the definition of what you just said here. You saw that need for women, right? Women were coming up to you, asking you these questions, and you thought to yourself, well, why not get the women involved?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and it was just like a natural high and curiosity. Honestly, I didn't anticipate. I've been a mother at home for 10 years. Prior to that, I was a broker. So while I definitely have my hands in our, personal investments and stuff like that, I have 3 boys, ages 10, 8, and 6. I've been a domestic engineer for 10 years. But I do enjoy finances and, investing and things like that. So I thought this would just be fun. Happy hour. I could probably attract some women to come hang out and chat about it. And then it was such an unexpected high. I was like, whoa, this feels really good to have them opening wallets, talking about crypto, talking about social currency, digital ownership. I was like, who are y'all? You used to play tennis and now you're talking about crypto. I love it. So it was just this natural, exciting thing. And that's why I continued doing it. And because it was great and they were naturally curious, and everyone in different ways. I mean, I had one woman in my, she's a friend of mine here. And she, after one of our events, she was like, hey, I want to own one of them Bored Apes. And I'm like, I'm sure you do. At that point, they were peaking probably. And she was like, but, I don't want to put all that. And I'm like, yeah, no, not a good idea. So she's like, can we, what if me and my friends want to buy one? I'm like, let's talk fractional ownership, and it's just all these fun ways in helping people understand how they can invest in this space and creative ways. And it is fun. I mean, it just really is.
Now, obviously, right, CoinQueens is just more than just having drinks, cinq à sept style, right? You are now offering courses. There's a program. I went snooping. There's like some sort of app that you're using as well. How are you staying connected? Are you providing resources? I mean, I'm assuming you are, but walk us through, for all the women who are probably watching this, like, oh, how do I join this sort of women's community to learn about this?
Yeah. So CoinQueens officially kicked off as like a digital community in August of last year. And was it August? I think it was August. Maybe, yes, I think it was August or July. Anyway, I think it was August. And it was August 2nd. I remember now. So what I did is I recognized as I was participating. So my goal when I jumped into NFTs is like, I'm just going to go buy into every female project there is because I want to get a vibe
Yep,
for
sounds like me.
Yeah, I'm just going to buy them all. And then I want to buy for every woman that's here. And there isn't a lot, right? So I'm like, where's my people at? Where's my people? Because I recognize the NFT communities were NFTs first, primarily. They were not crypto first. And so I thought that was a little bit of a hindrance in their success because they kind of had a just like one view of blockchain, right? And just the NFTs. I felt like they were missing a really big piece of it. And they also looked at NFTs as an investment. They were all sniffing around going, okay, I'm going to buy this $500 one. I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to buy this $400 one and I'm going to make $100,000. And I'm like, no. They're not that I'm anti NFTs whatsoever, but I really got frustrated when I felt like women were just consuming and not invest and thinking they were investing. Like women are such damn good consumers and they can be sold into thinking they're investing, but really it's just another consumption. And so I was getting frustrated. And there was plenty of wine nights with my husband and he could sense my frustration. I'd be in Twitter spaces and I was like, this is a bunch of crap. You know, they got these women spending another few $100 and they're, you know, not saying you're going to make a lot of money, but with the promise of we have big things coming. This is the women empowerment, and this is that community. And I'm like, I can't. It was just so frustrating. So I recognized there was women who were looking to build on the opportunities in blockchain, but just were kind of all over the place like squirrels, just looking for this next hot money opportunity instead of really focusing on how to do it and what having a good plan to do that. So I put it out there. I was like, I don't know. My husband was like, well, figure it out. Go be the leader. Go help. Go make a difference. And I was like, all right, fine. So I launched CoinQueens and I wanted no more than 50 women because there isn't a lot of women anyway. And I really wanted that kind of quality, top tier, like I'm in here and I'm trying to figure out how to succeed. I want to make money or I have this business idea. And so we started with about 30 women, which was great because I am one human and to personally connect with and have a meaningful interaction and assist that many people as one person, especially with 3 kids, is a lot. And so it went really well. So that community, that little core group got really strong over the first several months. And then we decided to open on Geneva, which is like, you know, pretty girl Discord basically without all the junk. You do token gating and all that same stuff that Discord does, but way more beautiful and much more easier to use. And we opened up the community and the goal being to talk to new to Web3. So let us give you, if you smell that opportunity, you want to figure out how can you enter the industry and use it to your advantage, come. If you are building a business, you're looking to start funding that business and that idea, and you have no idea where to start, come, we can help you. You know, or if you like whatever, it doesn't matter where you're on your journey. We have a myriad of women who have different skill sets. And I said just recently, I was like, we have people in our community with full cups ready to pour out, and we have people in our community with empty cups looking to receive. And it's just this really beautiful communion. And it doesn't mean that the Web3 expert is serving the Web2. It can be vice versa, because even though you're building a Web3 business, you probably still need some traditional networking with regular industry partners, finance, that sort of stuff. So it all really works well together. So we do a lot of classes. Honestly, I just put it out to our community. Like, what are you looking for? What are you struggling with? And everyone, that's how the Ordinals thing happened. Like, well, what is this Bitcoin Ordinals? And one of our fund partners was a Lightning node operator. If you're not into Bitcoin, it doesn't matter. But he knows all about it. And so I was like, all right, why don't you come on, Mike? And so just trying to serve their needs as they're going along. We did demystifying the VC process because we have some ladies starting to fund their business and looking to kick off their seed round. So helping them just have those conversations. So yeah, we do all kinds of things, whatever the community needs.
I'm excited to dive into the Bitcoin Ordinals because I do have a ton of questions. But just before, because I feel like I need to ask you, my girlfriends don't care about this stuff. My girlfriends are like, what are you doing now? NFTs? Web3, what is that? That's like gibberish to me, right? But they're very supportive, right? They love my content. They think it's funny, but they don't get it,
Yeah.
right? And there's no interest above me explaining, well, Gucci is entering, and they're like, oh, okay. But they don't see how this can help them or affect them in the next 5 to 10 years. And the same, like you said, I didn't grow up learning about finance. I didn't grow up learning about investing. I just grew up thinking, go to work, make money, and wait to retire. That was literally like that was
Yeah.
my mindset. Okay, I got to work how many years now until I could retire? So what do you think it is for, because my question here is really, how can we help onboard more women, or why should more women get interested in this stuff?
I think honestly, so having come from literally hosting in real life events with women being like, I'm so
Yes.
excited about this. You should be too. And doing
Yeah.
that a lot of times and seeing that they don't overall, their plates are full, right? I think maybe, I don't know what your situation is, but my opportunity where I have the gift of time, my kids are all in school now. I had time to be endlessly curious and researching and all of this. And you want to connect with people who are curious and excited about something you are. But on the whole, I would say women just, if they're working, they have, families, and they're just generally busy, they don't want to be learning this. They really don't. They do want to know, hey, Heather, is there something I should be buying? Is there something I should be paying attention to? So then I kind of become that like point person, which is fine. But I think as a whole, they're just, typically a woman isn't holding the bags at home. I hate to say that, but they're not. Overall, they're just not. That is definitely shifting. I mean, I have so many friends where the wife is now the breadwinner and controls the finances. But leading up until this point, historically, it hasn't been the way, right? So women haven't had that conversation. They do like it, but I think there's some trepidation on not having that background, a little bit of lack of confidence and skill in that area, and being scared to ask the questions and learn. So I recognize just by being me, and just you by being you and talking about it, whether they care about it or not, they hear it. They hear a woman talking about investing, this, emerging technology. And then if they do want to, they'll go, okay, there's someone who's like me that does this. I don't feel so scared to go do it as well. Right. So I think just by being here is all that needs to be done for onboarding women. I think primarily women will just use the technology because it's their brand that they love, open this platform where they can earn rewards or something. I don't think in general, most women are going to be like us. Just like in general, most men aren't like the men that play in the crypto space. I think there just happens to be more men in it because they aren't the gentlemen that participate in our fund, they know nothing about crypto. And the whole reason they entered the fund is because they didn't want to know anything about crypto. They go, okay, I think this is cool. I get the general idea that you do it. Do you know what I mean? Like that you guys manage it, you invest it. I want to be a part of it. I want to be exposed to it, but I don't want to learn about it because their plates are full. So I think, I just think it's unrealistic. And because of having to try, I've already tried it, to think that women are going to en masse go, we want to participate in Web3, like as the builders, right? I just don't think that's realistic.
No, I love that, because here I am. And, I always say that I'm not here to convince you about it. I'm just here talking about it, hoping that you do go on Google and just search something, just one thing, right? But I agree with you. It really, that's the first thing I tell everyone is go do your own homework, right? Go do your own research. But it is unrealistic to think that everyone will take 6 months out of their already busy lives to learn this stuff.
It's super unrealistic, and it's not necessary. Honestly, the only goal in my heart with ever introducing it to my girlfriends was to be like, hey, you could buy something really cool and make a lot of money, or you could go to the kitchen table over dinner tonight and tell your husband about Bitcoin and Ethereum and this, and be like, hey, we should put a little money in that. You know what I mean? Like, that's sexy, that's cool, and that's exciting to me. So for me, I don't really care that much about like having women understand how all this works. I think for me at this adoption point, because we are still very much in the adoption phase of all of this, is take advantage of these economic opportunities. If, and clearly I believe, over the next 10 years, this technology grows and blossoms, then if you put some money in it now, you're going to have a really, great opportunity to earn a lot of wealth. And I'm into that. That's exciting to me. So my only goal with introducing women to this is to be like, hey, throw a little money in it and pay attention to it, because I think this is a big time chance. And you don't get a lot of big time chances like this in your lifetime. So
it's true. Okay, on to the good stuff. Bitcoin Ordinals. I feel like the whole month of February, if it wasn't hearing Flowers by Miley Cyrus on the radio, it was, going on Twitter and learning about Bitcoin Ordinals, right? It was like both. And I'm so happy to have you here today because, in light of women's, International Women's Month, I wanted to get a woman to maybe explain to us what a Bitcoin Ordinal is and why Bitcoin Ordinal right now. So I don't know how you have been teaching it, or maybe dumb it down for us a little here.
Okay. So if I would assume most of your audience is NFT familiar at this point, or no?
NFT familiar for sure. And then I like to say, beginner. This is very beginner. We want them to not run away, but maybe understand what's going on.
Okay. So then we'll just go. I was going to compare, but probably not worth it. Okay. So Bitcoin is every currency that's out there. Ethereum, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, all the Avalanche, whatever. Pick one that you've heard of. They all have their own blockchain. They don't all exist on the same blockchain. Everyone has their own. So Bitcoin has its own blockchain, right? Which is its ledger, its recording of transactions. So blockchain, the smallest denominator of a blockchain, it's called a Satoshi. There are 100 million Satoshis in a Bitcoin, which is ridiculous and really hard for converting to USD, but that's neither here nor there. So, so a Satoshi, think of it as like the penny of Bitcoin, if you will. And so up until just very recently, this is super new. Like you said, over the past month, there were no such things as Bitcoin Ordinals and definitely not Bitcoin NFTs. People were talking about it. There were some people back in the day who ran their own nodes. I will preface this, who did some cool stuff, put things on them, but it was not, this, really in vogue available option for people like you and I. So the Satoshi can be inscribed, is what they call it, which means like you're just putting data, information on that Satoshi. You're just writing on it. Like if you would take a dollar bill and write, you ever see some dollar bills stamped, or if you ask like
stamped, yeah,
Madonna, like some really weird stuff sometimes too, right? Like we're all like culty type stuff stamped on it. Or you could ask a celebrity to sign your dollar, basically like that. And it is on there. Once you inscribe a Satoshi, it is there forever. You cannot change it. We hear the word immutable all the time. Like this one really, really is. Like it's over. Like when you inscribe something, it's like, are you sure? Are you sure? If you can't change it, this one's going to look like. That's it. And so there, typically, the idea of Bitcoin is as this global permissionless currency, right? Not as, a thing to store assets on or to change the value of by putting a signature of someone famous or a piece of art on it. So there is some, current conversation about whether doing this, creating these ordinals, like convolutes and confuses the value of Bitcoin. Is one Satoshi equal one Satoshi anymore? Is one penny? If that one penny has something really cool written on it. So I think the answer is yes, because if I go to Circle K, even if my dollar bill has Willie Nelson's signature on it, it still spends as $1, right? So I haven't fully formed my opinion, I will say. So going through this exercise on the ordinals thing it's fun and helping me put things in true perspective because I'm doing it. But I think it doesn't lose value. I think it is more of just like a digital flag that we're planting, or just a cool enhancement to it. I do not think it's a value loss. But Bitcoin maxis who are full on, you're missing the point. The goal in this adoption phase is, in this point is widen the network, increase the network, get more wallets open. And doing this is just a distraction to that. I kind of disagree because with our project, I'm like, hey, I'm going to try and get a whole bunch of Ethereum folks to open a Bitcoin wallet. And I think that's great. And I think that's exciting. So that's ordinals. But I want to make sure that I point out there's Bitcoin. You'll hear Bitcoin NFTs. That is different than ordinals.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're not very different. They are different. So where Bitcoin, the actual blockchain, that's a layer 1. So just like Ethereum has layer 2, because settling on blockchain takes like 10 minutes for every transaction. It's not meant for scaling, right? Like that. It's not meant for like how we're going to take it to the moon with all 100 million users. So a layer 2 built on it, it's called Stacks. It's just the name of the company. So Stacks is a layer 2 on Bitcoin, and they have the ability to do smart contracts and things just like Ethereum does. So it's very similar to how you typically interact with NFTs on Ethereum. You create a smart contract, you upload your data, it points to IPFS, which is where the files are stored. So where the monkey image is stored, and all that smart contract does is point to the IPFS address. Whereas the ordinal, it is just on there. There is no pointing to anything. It's just right there on the ordinal. There's nothing to go look at. You look at it, and it's little tiny. It's only got to be less than 60 kbs, I think. So it's tiny.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Yeah.
So that was my next question to you, Heather, because we are hearing that perhaps the development team may not want to have all these inscriptions. So how do you think that will work? Because like you said, originally this was not the plan for Bitcoin.
I think Bitcoin NFTs, so I'm going to start there because this is the easier point, is I think those are great because you already have this big circle. You could call it a community if you wish, but Bitcoin doesn't exist and play like NFTs do. They're very different. Yeah. But Bitcoin NFTs, I think, are a great opportunity to encourage like the positive things that Web3 communities can bring to a chain. And so I think Bitcoin NFTs are fine. They're built on Stacks. It's not a problem. It's not going to take up block space. I think it's amazing. I love it. Now, the ordinals, that's the one where I'm still a little bit conflicted because they do worry about, is there going to be all this trash basically out there? And I'm like, well, there are all those trash dollars with those weird things that people print and stamp on them. Does that hinder anything? I don't know. And I'm not like technical enough to go so deep and to have an opinion about the block size and all of that. I hear those conversations about concern about the amount of data and about just the size of the block being filled up, or the block itself being filled up with these stupid images, they call them, to being put on the ordinals. But overall, I would say every person that I've spoken to that is participating in the development of products to allow for ordinals to be created, to be sold, like the marketplace, they're all very excited about it. And I get that makes sense because it's an economic opportunity. But I think they wouldn't be building something, right, to destroy their rock. But I don't know. I think it remains to be seen. I'm participating. I'm creating them. So I'm leaning on the opinion that I think it's great and a fun new way to plant our little Women's History Month flag in this, historical moment.
So explain to me, why did you decide, okay, we're going to go ordinals, not the ETH NFT route that, like we said at the beginning, we were buying all those NFTs?
Yeah. So Ethereum, like the Ethereum community is done, like planted. I feel like if you are a woman coming into the space, there's plenty. And I think that's a problem in my opinion. And that is the whole idea in my brain. And this wasn't even fully my idea. The only reason we're doing this is as I was hosting that Ordinals 101 call for my community, as the conversation wrapped up and we were just kind of hanging on Zoom, they're like, well, why don't we create ordinals? And I'm like, why would we? I don't know. Why would we create ordinals? And they're like, well, why not? And then we started discussing all these different things and some of the core fundamentals of CoinQueens, why we exist, and just kind of expanding upon that. And one of the biggest problems, I think, is these, walled gardens of female PFP projects. And they're all a lot of the overlap, right? And I have posted about that. You have 5,000 folders in most of these.
Yes.
And they're not all unique and they're not all women. So, and I'm doing analytics myself and I'm pretty confident the number of women participating in it is 2,000-ish. And that's probably, so it's not a lot. And so for me, it's very frustrating. I think it's a big missed opportunity not to have all of these women together, like on the same ship. like building the same arc, right? Like it's so, you're just trying to build your little tiny tower and you're missing the castle you could be building, right? And so when I was talking to our community on the phone, I was like, well, why would we do it? What would be helpful? And then I was like, okay, well, what would be really cool is I consider ourselves investors in all these ETH NFT projects. So there's 13 of us that decided to do this. And of it, we have NFTs from about 22 different collections, all women founded NFT projects. And I was like, why don't we create these in Bitcoin? You have this new surge of energy and attention over here with people who have this crypto who don't play over here in Ethereum. And we'll do some really cool stuff with AI with our ETH NFTs. And then we will put them, we're going to make them as these ones. So I'll tell them we're doing two things as Bitcoin NFTs. And in the description, we'll link to her Ethereum digital twin. And the idea being maybe this drives, eyeballs over to the Ethereum network. Some of these Bitcoin users who are paying attention to what Bitcoin's doing, what is the value add or loss happening over here with those NFTs, and they find our collection and they see, oh, this is great. This is really cool art. And then they're like, oh, wow, this is based off of what is this collection? Oh, what is this project based on? Like, this is so cool, girls. Oh, they're building an artist like hub for young girls to create digital art. That's so cool. I have a daughter. Just kind of want this like cross-chain pollination, we're kind of calling it. And also on the flip side, to be able to purchase a Bitcoin NFT, you have to have stacks, right? Which is like, it's like Ethereum, Matic, all the same thing. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like another currency.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to have stacks to buy Bitcoin NFTs. So I'm like, all right, all of these Ethereum people, if they want to participate in this Bitcoin NFT collection, they have to have a Bitcoin wallet. And I'm like, money, that's amazing. And I'm like, so again, it's like that cross-chain pollination, just trying to get people to participate more cohesively and collectively towards the real mission of this global permissionless currency to have success, building applications and protocols that are valuable for our world. And I want women to be the one doing that. But so they got to get in there, right? They got to understand how it works. They have to understand, just how to bring value to the space. And I think, so the idea of doing it, we are going to turn all of the art that we created into ordinals as well. We are uncertain. We're all kind of connected to them. So we're uncertain if we're going to sell them at this point. We feel like the ordinals feel pretty special. And we're kind of just all having done the collection now and created all the art. And it's just all really beautiful. Right? Well, maybe we just want to hang on to these. But we're going to do the Bitcoin NFT collection first. And then we were thinking, if we get through this and we see the value in selling the ordinal collection, or at least some of that, then people who buy the Bitcoin NFTs, they get first rights, right, at the ordinals. We could do it that way. So we're just trying to think of the best way to bring attention to both sides, right? That cross-pollinate, I think, is just going to increase network adoption, and that's a win for me.
Yeah, I think that's what, people don't understand, right? Already when we say Web3, what does that mean? Then we talk about blockchain, then NFTs, then Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, like you said, Avalanche. And the reality is those who are into Bitcoin may not necessarily be into Ethereum.
No.
So I like this idea of, cross-pollinating both, because you'll get, the ETH maxis learning about the Bitcoin maxis. And then, and to my next question, because I tweeted this last week, and it is a legitimate question, I think. So here it goes. Will this eventually be, Heather, you let me know, will Bitcoin NFTs be like Apple and ETH NFTs be like Samsung?
No.
Because, right?
Dirty. That's
it's
kind of
like,
I mean, I think the Bitcoin ordinals, just based on the way that they function, that they, they're expensive to create versus, Ethereum NFTs. They are slow to be inscribed, slow to be received. It's just the nature of that layer one Bitcoin blockchain. So I think it will be reserved probably for more, like high fine art, if you want to call it, right? I think it will be more, yes, like it is. It's supposed to be gold, right? A store of value. So I don't think it will be as inundated with projects and data and users like the Ethereum NFT ecosystem is. If I had to make a guess, I could be wrong, but that
Yeah.
would be my guess.
Okay, so tell us more now. So on Ethereum, we say we're minting an NFT. Now for Bitcoin, are we inscribing? Is that the better word?
Yes, it's the same thing. They're called inscribing. Yes, they made their own terminology.
Okay. But like you said, it's different. It's not the same as, Ethereum is proof of stake.
Oh, well, Bitcoin, yeah, the proof of work, which is why it's slower. But more
Now,
secure, some would
okay.
argue. Some would argue. I mean, there's a whole, we could go into all of that, but that's a huge conversation. Proof of work versus proof of stake with ZK rollups.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go some nerdy stuff. But I mean, yeah, I think both are fine at this point where we are at.
So I guess, why do you think more people should get into this stuff? Like, because again, not to convince anyone, but the reality is you and I believe that this will be here in 10 years. So, and I guess, we want, more people, having a seat at this table. And I mean, we hear about all this drama in the NFT world, right? Between projects and who's fudding who, right? Right, like the tomorrow. But why do you think you're so bullish on all of this?
So, for your first question being like, why do I want more people in it? Because the more, and I mean, I've gotten this question from even people who ended up joining my community being like, why are you putting so much effort into this, like basically for free, right? Because for me, any business that succeeds in the blockchain space is a win for me as an investor, as we are very strongly invested in the blockchain universe. Anybody that can come in and build a valuable solution product is amazing to me. That's great. Rising tide raises all ships at this point. There is no, monolith quite yet. So I am very excited about the more people that enter the space with their skills that they have from their current, hobbies or their current profession, that they can bring that and build something to solve any problems they have in those areas on blockchain. Because that's what I want. I just want people in here thinking of really great solutions. We have, in my opinion, a lot more solutions than we have problems in blockchain, which is what a quote from one of our CoinQueens community members, Nadia, and I was like, yes, you're so right. There's a lot of developers in here that are really smart and building these really great technical solutions, but they may not actually be solving a problem that anyone really cares to have solved. So I think as we bring more women, and I want to see women as the leaders in this, hence why I focus strictly on women, because there are plenty of guys bringing their buddies on the golf course into the investment opportunity. And it's not a conversation that a lot of girls have. And I'm trying to change that. I just want women to be more comfortable with the conversation and feel like they can participate in this and take a chance on it. Is still, I will say, an extremely speculative, volatile market to be playing in. But I think if you do it in the right way, you can really open yourself up to some major success. And I want to see that.
Yeah, I mean, even for myself, when I entered the space, I will say, my partner was more into crypto, more into Bitcoin. But I entered it through the NFT route because as I entered the space, the NFTs were booming. So, in part of doing my research, these women projects, like you said, and then I started buying a few. And then I was here like, oh, yes, we're going to build all these schools for these girls and we're going to have all this women empowerment. But the reality is, and you just said it, guys will go to their friends and say, hey, you need to check this out. Whereas women, we don't do that. We preach that we do. And in this, in this lovely month of women, I want to remind women and young girls that it's important to have these conversations because yet again, we see guys, patting each other on the back, right? They help each other out. They're proud of their friends, right? It's like it's the typical football like team that's always, cheering each other on. And then I feel like we don't get that with women. I feel like like you said at the beginning, right? We don't cheer each other on. There's this sort of, and I think I think it's because, I grew up feeling this way too, which is when I saw another woman on a stage, I thought, well, she earned that place. I can't do it too. She's there. She's the woman on the stage. I can't do it. But the reality is that we can.
Sure.
And so I want to keep reminding women that you have a seat at this table, right? If I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah. And we need all the seats at the table, regardless of the gender. At this phase of this point of our blockchain lives, we need all the people taking a seat and participating and bringing their best. And I do think you being here talking about it, you don't have to do anything else more. Just being present as someone that a young girl, a teenager, a woman, a mom, an older lady, can go, hey, I resonate with her. Like she's able to confidently talk about, what's going on in Web3. I can too. I can learn it. I can watch some of these recordings. I can play. And just to understand, I mean, my biggest, every time I've ever had an in real life one, I'm like, I want you to make your own opinion. I want to give you facts. And I want you, which women typically haven't done, to think critically about these. What do you see in the future? There is no right answer yet, right? And I love that. And I think that should take a little bit of pressure off women. There's no right answer. There is no for sure. All of these projects that people look up to and they're like, oh, wish I could be in that community and that's such an amazing project. They need you wanting that. Without you wanting it, then their value is $0. $0. So I mean, I really want women to understand you are needed. You are the reason that these projects are valuable. And that is the only reason, is because you say they are. And that's it. And so go out there, look at it and go, what do I see? What do I want? What do I want to bring to the table? And bring it. Like there's literally no wrong answer. It's all up for grabs now.
Yeah, and I want to hear from the audience right now. What do you think about this, right? Do you agree with Heather and myself saying there is a seat for everyone? Women, non-binary, right? Black, white, everybody can be here.
Absolutely. 100%. But yeah, I love a good debate too. I think adversity, that's why I love the ordinal thing. I like adversity. It brings more critical thinking, right? It makes you understand and debate your point more. So you make it better. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope there's some good conversation.
So now, Heather, obviously, like you said, you've helped so many women open up wallets. Now you're going to do the same, but with a Bitcoin wallet. You're also learning this as you go. What can you tell us? How different is it from setting up an Ethereum wallet?
Same. Literally same. You're going to, so we have an event on the 9th of this week.
Thursday. Yeah.
So Hero Wallet is a Bitcoin wallet, just like you think of MetaMask. So Hero Wallet, you go in, you put in your information just like you did with your MetaMask. It gives you a seed phrase, and then you record that in a safe place, and off you go. They have browser extensions. You can do it just like MetaMask. So it's literally the same. Except now they have a special place for you to store your ordinals. So in MetaMask, everything kind of is dumped in the same place underneath the same address. While it is in the same address, remember, ordinals are inscribed on the actual Satoshi, so on the actual spendable money. So if you left your Satoshi in your little wallet, you could accidentally spend your Satoshi and then your thing would be gone. So they have created, which leading up until just recently, there was no available option. You would literally create a wallet and you would send maybe 1 million Satoshis over to that wallet to make sure you encapsulated your ordinal in that, and then you would leave it in there. Now they have a little place where you can send just your ordinal so that you make sure you don't spend it. Because that would be a bummer.
Well, that's why I was going like this. I'm like, oh my God, can you imagine if on my Satoshi, I don't know, I had like Taylor Swift's signature and I accidentally sell it?
Correct. So yes, it was a brilliant move for them to modify their wallet. So you can send Bitcoin, you can send stacks, you can receive it, you can send, whatever you had, just like your MetaMask. But now a nice little place to save your ordinal so you don't spend it.
I love it. Do you remember the first time you minted your first NFT? Who was it? What was it? Maybe take us back to that moment.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I absolutely remember. So before I tell you the one I did, I'm going to tell you the one I didn't do, which led me to do the one I did. So my husband, I love it. I'd been fake investing in NFTs first. So I learned about NFTs Bored Apes for about 10K. My friend Scott was a Bitcoin miner. So that's when I kind of entered. They were about to take off, but they weren't quite. But I was like, no, Scott, I'm not buying a monkey JPEG. That's ridiculous. Like, that is so dumb. But I was like pretend investing just so I could gain a little confidence. And then I was like, okay, I think I've got this. I get a vibe for like what makes sense, why one might increase in value. So, but I was strictly sticking to women. So 1989 Sisters was going to be minting. And Blair Brettenstein, I think that's how you say her last name. She's a fashion illustrator. I love fashion illustration. Just personally, I think it's beautiful. I enjoy it. And I really loved her style. I had seen her in magazines before. She sketches a lot at fashion shows. And I'm like, oh, this is perfect. This would be a great first project for me to mint. And she, my husband and I were flying back home. We were in the Orlando airport. And I'm like, okay, her mint is live right now. We're at baggage claim. And he's like, just do it. It was like $200 for like 5 or 3 or something. You could mint as like a collection, right? And I'm like, you know what? This just seems hasty. We're at the baggage claim. This doesn't seem right. I'm not going to make a hasty decision. I'm very conservative, as you can tell. And so I'm like, forget it. I didn't do it. $200. That's so stupid. And then like the next day they were like 20,000. I was like, you know what? I was ready. Turns out I had read that one right. So then my first one ended up being Eyes of Fashion, another fashion illustrator, Talia Zoref, who I am her biggest fan. We have met several times. I love her. I love her soul, her passion for her art, and her passion for like leveling up. And she's not afraid to say it. I friggin' love that. She's like, I love this. I love drawing. I want to keep going. I want to level up. I want the value in my work to be seen, the value of my bravery to create these digital assets and participate in this digital community and ecosystem. She's so rad. So I minted 5 of hers on Mint. It was so exciting, cheering for her. She just had her 1-year anniversary. Yeah. I mean, she minted out in like 2 seconds, but I never sold them because I love her. And I would never, it felt like an affront, honestly, to sell it because I was like, I don't need the whatever few $100s I could have made by selling them. I was like, I want to support you. Like, I'm such a fan of hers. So yeah.
Again, I'm going to say this. Women don't buy the way men buy. Because we buy, because we believe, we support, we are using our dollars to show that support and appreciation, right? So I'm just like you. I hold on to dear life for most of my stuff. And I realized that I don't think I could ever sell. And that's something that I've adopted in my day-to-day life, right? I look at the food, I look at the ingredients behind, food labels. I spend my dollar kind of like how I vote, right? And I think it's important to notice, because I've noticed it, right? Like men will sell their friend's NFT, and if they go tell their friend, hey, I made $100,000 off of selling your NFT, his friend's going to be like, good job, bro. They're going to do that. And us girls, we're here like, oh my God, Talia, I love you, but I sold it because I wanted to buy something. And I'm not saying Talia would be offended, but I know that we'd be here like, are you okay with that? Right? Like all those thoughts.
Yes.
Whereas guys don't think that way.
No, we don't consume in the same way whatsoever. No. And women just haven't historically ever participated in investing, which probably leads to all of us HODLing, which I think is fine. But I just, understanding what you're doing, how you're doing it and owning that, not saying you're HODLing it because you think it's going to moon one day. I just think owning how you're purchasing behaviors. So, yeah.
How many NFTs do you think you have right now? Do you own? Do you have that number? Is that something that you look at? Do you like randomly just gloss through your wallet and you're like, because sometimes I'm like, I want to like just make sure that everything, like I still have everything, although I never, like I freak out every time I do a transaction, but I'm hoping that one day I don't have to, think about all these things. But do you ever just like go through your NFTs and just look at them or like?
No, but I've been looking at a lot of them lately creating this ordinal collection. I'll tell you that. I mean, my eyes are literally crossed, but no, I wouldn't say I'm a peruser. I've got the ones in my heart that I hold pretty well. I don't really buy many NFTs anymore. I can't think of the last time I bought an NFT. It's been forever. I mean, I can't even.
But you had a stage, right? Like I had a stage where I FOMO'd. I didn't FOMO into buying everything, but it was one of those like, I really want to buy this one. And then my partner would be like, well, why? Right? They
Yeah.
all look the same. And when you said 1989 sister, I was like, I know that one with the big glasses and I know that project so well. But it's funny because then when you go to your guys, they're like, all the women projects look the same, but I can distinguish them very easily.
Oh, same. No. I know them all well. And I love them all. They're all so beautiful and for different reasons. It's so funny when we put the collection together. So there's 62 of them and I didn't give any direction. I was like, okay, just send. You could submit 1, you could submit 5, whatever. Submit whatever ones you want to see inscribed on the Bitcoin chain or whatever. I think that's also curious to see. And then there was some, maybe I should have sent this one. Maybe I should have. And so I think it's like this really interesting collection of, not that they're all these amazing successes, but that I think it's just a really cool collection of why they were included. What can they offer for future founders to learn from? What were their successes? Where have they failed? I just think it's really cool. And I hope it just really, it brings most, like 22 NFT collections. That's a lot. It's a ton of them, all of the big name ones. We even put a Mutant Ape in there and made her into a Bitcoin queen. So it's very cool. Because ladies of Bored Ape Yacht Club is a big community of women, kind of wanting to do the same thing we're doing, right? Like give women the confidence to participate in this financial little world we're all spinning in.
I know. Thank you. My God, Heather, this was so great. I cannot thank you enough for all the work that you're doing for women, right? By women, for women. I cannot stress it enough. I mean, I am one person, just like you. We're like this one person behind the screen trying to do it all. So I totally can relate. I cannot thank you enough for helping women set up their wallets. Because that again, that's not my skill set. I'm not comfortable doing that, but now I know that I can send all of my girlfriends your way because you are doing it and you are doing it in a way that is educational. It's never financial advice, but I'm glad to know that there are women out here doing these foundational steps, right? Like I probably invented this word, but we need that foundation set up, and a good foundation, will help more women feel empowered to start talking about money, to start talking about investing, to start talking about owning their own stuff. Oh my God, it gives me chills just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I'm there, right? I think that's what makes the difference. I think a lot of women enter the space and they jump in these big communities and they are talking to 25-year-old mods, which is fine. Love them. They serve a purpose and they keep that community thriving and healthy. And I love that. But when you have this really dangerous, difficult to understand technology, I think there just needs to be a little more accountability, a little more handholding. And I'm there. And now I have clearly women who participate in the community, but we're just all there. It's us, and I think that's different. A lot of the faces of what people think they're buying into sometimes is not really what you're getting. And it's a lot of talking at, not a lot of talking to. And I want to make sure we're keeping that conversation two-way so we can actually bring women safely and wisely into the space.
Thank you so much, Heather. Of course, everyone, you can go ahead and follow her, CoinQueens, right, Heather? And I'll make sure that all the right links are down below. And of course, if you want to start setting up a Bitcoin wallet, Heather is your girl. You can reach out to her. Her DMs are open. You can always find me at Girl in the Verse on all your favorite social media apps. Again, please do not forget to like, subscribe, comment. Let us know your thoughts down here below. I cannot wait to have Heather back on the show. Thank you so much, Heather.
Thank you.